Good morning, friends. My name is Darren Gerdes, and welcome to the Daily Brief. That's a name that I settled on because I couldn't say morning brief just for time zone kind of situations between America and Europe. And Daily Brief was also somewhat of a nod to the presidential Daily Brief. And I just thought, what I'm trying to do is give you newest stories so that you're aware of what's going on. Even if it's not the biggest stories that affect things, it still adds context. So here we go. Here's a daily brief for today. Hungarian far-right leader calls for the seizure of Ukraine's Zakarpattia Oblast if Russia wins the war. Will it happen? Probably not. That he's doing it, still important. Here's why. This is Zakarpattia Oblast. If you look at the map, it's right next to Slovakia and Hungary and on the edge of Ukraine. Is it going to happen? No. But even Pravda was talking about how Hungary wants to snatch Ukraine's Transcarpathia when Russia wins. So it's getting some coverage in the news at this point. For their part, the Europeans are getting a little tired of Orban, and there's a secret EU plan now that came out this morning, actually late last night, to sabotage Hungarian economy revealed as anger mounts against Orban. The plan, reported by the Financial Times, reflects the fury mounting across European capitals at when one diplomat calls the policy of blackmail being pursued by the Hungarian prime minister, who leads the bloc's most pro-Russian state. So Orban keeps wanting to try to get concessions, and because they need unanimity, he has the power to do so. Hungary's economy is heavily reliant on the single market, with nearly all its exports going across the border into neighboring countries. According to European Commission data, intra-EU trade accounts for almost 80% of Hungary's exports. So they have a lot of leverage over him, and they're now thinking about how to use it. Okay, next article. There was another drone strike at an oil refinery just a few hours ago. This one I don't have a lot of details about. There's not a lot on Twitter and there's not a lot in the news, but perhaps we'll see more about that this evening. Okay, switching gears. The more the war goes on, the more they do things that were like, here's Vietnam era and here's World War II era. And I'll give you an example. So in order to keep their communications from being intercepted by cell phones, they're now wiring in the trenches. Like the Russians are wiring their communications devices back so that they can't be picked up by radio waves. Same kind of thing here. This is a Hawk missile, and if you don't remember the name Hawk missile, you're probably younger than 50. But Hawk missiles were used extensively during the Cold War, and so this defense missile battery system is not as good as a Patriot. It's old. It's Cold War era. But when Russia tries to overwhelm Ukrainian defenses, these things can knock things out of the sky pretty effectively. And so they're arming with old Hawk missile systems. So it's an interesting thing to see what's happening here. Okay, last article. Global trade is being disrupted by Red Sea attacks, war in Ukraine, and low water in Panama. Okay, I knew about the Red Sea attacks, and I knew about the war in Ukraine, but low water in the Panama Canal, and sure enough, all three of these things are happening at the same time, and they matter because what's happening in the rest of the world takes our eyes off what's going on in Ukraine. Okay, last little bit. I decided to go with this and just keep doing this. Instead of new news and brief, as I said, it'll be the daily brief early edition. And again, the reason that I did this was I was asking, would you want to watch something that is providing new stories that provide context? They're not the three big stories that I do in the evening. And all but 5% of you said that they would either be enthusiastically supported or 7% said no opinion. So it seems like it's well worth doing. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.